What's up everybody, my name is Sawyer Hartman, and every now and then a new camera is announced that is an absolute game changer to the photography and videography community. Today is one of those days. Just yesterday, Canon confirmed that the long-rumored EOS R5 is a real camera and it should be coming to our hands sometime this summer. Now, why would I be getting so excited about a camera that doesn't even come out for months? Well, because I have been waiting for this camera for years. Literally, I ask anybody, Jared Polin, Peter McKinnon, anyone will agree with you. If the stats that they released are true, this is a game changer. Now, as you might be able to tell, I have been quite the Canon fanboy for almost 20 years, but this was actually the year that I was thinking about possibly leaving Canon. If you're wondering why, let me fill you in. This is a Canon 1DX Mark II. In my mind, one of the most perfect cameras that has ever been created, as well as my main workhorse for all of my videos for the last 3 years. It is a mirrored beast that can shoot 120 frames in 1080 at full frame. This is Canon's EOS R, their new mirrorless camera that just kind of let me down, quite honestly. But Canon is moving in this mirrorless direction, and that made me extremely nervous. You might be wondering why I'm waiting for this Canon EOS R5 and I didn't just order the brand new Canon 1DX Mark III. We could argue over all the different stats it can do, but I needed one thing from the Canon 1DX Mark III, and Canon was very aware of that. Almost every single content creator still shooting Canon has pretty much switched to the 1DX Mark II because it shoots 120 frames slow motion in full frame, and it does it flawlessly. The only downside is it can only do it in 1080p. So what feature was left out of the 1DX Mark III that left me wanting more? Well, of course it can't do 120 frames in 4K. Which is exactly what we needed to be able to leave behind the Red cameras that I'm shooting on right now. Long story short, the specs come out, it's not on there, so I'm not buying it. That is until about 8 p.m. last night when Canon confirms that the Canon EOS R5 is real and the stats are incredible. There's been a lot of rumors on the internet of what the camera might include, but this is, as of right now, what we know Canon has confirmed the camera to have. First off, the Canon EOS R5 will be an RF mount lens, which means all of the new Canon RF glass, like the 51.2 and the much shorter 70-200 and even the 28-70 f2 are all going to be able to be used on this new R5. The big news from Canon was that for the first time ever, this new R5 will actually have in-body camera stabilization, which is the first time ever for a pro-level DSLR coming out of Canon. Now, I don't know how that was the big news out of Canon because directly after they confirmed that this camera will be able to shoot 8K video. They claim it's for future-proofing of video projects, but I am actually genuinely curious. Is this going to be full frame 8K, or are we going to be experiencing a crop factor that might make it unusable? And will that 8K video be able to utilize the dual pixel CMOS autofocus? But it's the stats that are rumored still, the stats that are not confirmed by Canon that really have me excited. Now, I hate to say it, but Canon has a track record of leaving incredibly needed features out of their cameras, but maybe for once this will be an exception and the 5R will be a near perfect camera. Here are the rumored specs or things we still don't know about the camera, but we really hope are true. First off, the R5 is rumored to have a 45 megapixel image sensor, which is more than double that of the 20 megapixel Canon 1DX Mark III. And while megapixel doesn't always matter on a platform like Instagram, it does in fact help us with resizing and cropping your images after they've been taken. Also, if you're working in a professional capacity, a lot of times clients will need this extra resolution to be able to blow up your image on the side of a building, if you're lucky. The only possible downside of having this larger image sensor is, will this camera still perform as good in low light as the 1DX Mark II? A lot of times, larger megapixel counts and sensors also equate to more noise in low light situations. Now, Canon did not confirm if this is true or not, but it is rumored that the Canon EOS R5 is going to be able to shoot 120 frames a second in full 4K resolution with autofocus. This is a game changer. If this is true, it is an absolute game changer. You're going to want to sell everything you have and buy this camera system. And if it does not have this feature, I'm going to be so incredibly disappointed I cannot even begin to tell you. It is also rumored that this camera will be able to shoot 12 images a second using its mechanical shutter, or up to 20 photos a second using its new electronic shutter. This feature would still allow this camera to be used for sports photography, wildlife, and even with unexperienced models, holding down that shutter to make sure you get the perfect frame. Now, as for the confirmed Canon leak, this seems to be all the features that are rumored to be in the camera, but there's also one more massive perk that might be at first glance overlooked. When you look at these two cameras, what is the major difference between them? Obviously, it's the size and the weight. Now, as cool and tough as the 1DX is and looks, it actually poses a huge problem when you go to put it on a gimbal or a glide cam. Because of this massive battery grip here, the extra height and weight of the camera means you need a lot bigger gimbals and a lot bigger stabilizers because the weight is constantly falling forward. Whereas in a camera like the EOS R, all of the weight is more evenly distributed right here in a form factor. So when you put it on a glide cam, when you put it on a gimbal, you're not having to deal with the extra height making the camera fall over. I know the bigger cameras might look cooler, but it also means heavier backpacks, bigger support gear, and overall more shit you're gonna have to carry to use it. So there you have it. What are your thoughts on the new Canon EOS R5? Is this going to be a game changer for what you're looking for in your camera needs? Or are you a Sony guy who's going to fight me and say you already had all these things, even though you guys haven't had 120 frames without a crop factor ever? But regardless, I personally was extremely hesitant with Canon moving into the mirrorless camera line. I loved the 1DX Mark II and its beautiful mirror, but I don't know. Now, after seeing these confirmed leaked stats from Canon, I'm thinking this might not be the year that I leave Canon. All I know is if this Canon R5 has 120 frame uncropped 4K, I personally will be making the switch. I also would love to see the back swivel flip out screen so that we still have the ability to vlog and create content from more than just this angle. And it is also confirmed that this new R5 will have a dual card slot, which means all you wedding photographers, you will not lose your clients' photos anymore. Rest assured, dual camera slots is back. But whatever your thoughts are on this camera, please leave them down below in the comments, along with any other cameras coming out this year that you are personally excited about. And other than that, it's a beautiful day here in Hawaii, so I'm gonna load up my 1DX Mark II with a Sigma 35 1.4 with this massive underwater housing. So if you wanna see the photos and videos I create, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Sawyer Hartman. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a like and subscribe. I make new film and photography related videos every single week. Especially this year, I'm going to be doing a lot more videos, not just once a week, but when I have something to talk about. That means more camera news, reviews, tutorials, films, and tips and tricks to help you get creating at the highest level possible. So as always, before you go, remember, stay motivated, stay inspired, and never stop creating. And I'll see you beautiful people in the next episode. Peace.